was alerted to the fact that, as part of the bug that we had earlier today, there's some folks that have reported that they have been able to actually claim their kernels well past that 45-minute, that half-hour window. One of our Australian community members mentioned that, and I'm not exactly sure what's going on, but I'm pretty sure that it is in some way related to the bug that we had today. So I just need to sit down and figure that out. It's not really a huge deal. It just means that that you have more than that 15-minute, that you maybe have more than that half an hour to get your kernels. It's possible also that the person who mentioned it to me, that their app was still suffering from the bug before I fixed it. I don't know, but I'll take a look at it a little bit later. But it seems like the ledger is intact, although there are a couple folks who I thought I saw duplicate entries and deleted those entries, only to realize that they were not duplicates. So I added them back. Loretta, you were one of those. I added it back. That's the reason why you were able to collect it again for that one particular event. I actually watched it. I watched you collect again in real time while I was sitting there in the database. But everything is back to normal again, except that when I added those dates back, or those transactions back in, the dates were a little different. That's the only thing, which shouldn't be a big deal, but you might notice it when I eventually do put in the notifications thing, where you'll be able to sort of see all of it'll show you all of your transactions, meaning it'll show you every harvest that you've done, what date you did it, and most importantly, it'll allow you to see when people tip you. And I'm also going to be adding another thing for anyone who did any tipping today. It's really basic right now, but I'm going to actually be adding a little memo field, so you can actually write a little memo like, because you're awesome or something like that, or maybe like let them know what specifically they said that that really got you excited enough to send them a tip. So that will be coming soon. After our morning session, I just basically chilled with Josie, took a little nap with her, and then I took the dogs on a big long walk, and it is boiling hot out here, so I barely made it through that. All right, we are going to open this couch and let some folks up here to hang with us for this particular episode. And couch is open. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6.
Oh, John. Oh, you're
7.
Evening to all.
8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 13 and 14. Yeah, I can't really concentrate when I'm counting.
You're totally fine. Hey, John.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw my DM.
Yes, I did.
Oh yeah, you did. Okay, it starts at 42 seconds.
Yeah, because with Netflix, they literally skips. Like it has a button that says skip recap, and then it just jumps to 42.
Yeah. The other day when we had one, it didn't work, so I had to like scroll through. But I just let it play, and then I hit pause. Right.
Cool. I'm good.
I channeled you, John. I curled up on the couch with my son, and he had his little iPad, and before I knew it, I was snoring away.
I was only gonna sleep for like a half hour because I needed to sleep because I woke up too early, and then I slept from about 3:30 Mountain Time to about 5, so I slept 30 minutes longer than I wanted to. But yeah. Oh, also about kernels, because I know like how you can like RSVP like with them, but when it comes to like harvesting, is it after the episode ends that we can harvest them, or
it begins 15 minutes before the end of the event? So our events are you can see how long an event, an hour and a half. So like, we start at 8 p.m. Mountain Time, we end at 10:30 p.m. Mountain Time. So at 10:15, they officially are ready. And then they should actually wither away at 10:45 Mountain Time. But I need to take a look and verify that that's correct. I'm not exactly sure why someone would be able to harvest them many hours later. The only thing I think is that the bug that we had earlier that I fixed is contributed to it. Right. I just need to go in and actually spend time because I just did like a really, really fast fix to get that ready. Something else though that somebody brought to my attention that I completely didn't think to mention, although I had thought about it, is, I mentioned that like hosting events, you're going to be earning sort of based on who harvested from your events. But something that I didn't really, well, like I said, I thought about it, but I just didn't think to mention it, is that I recognize that some of you are working together to host events, that there are some teams that are hosting events. We had the Bag Boys, the Bag Boy Facebook group that hosted our trivia night, trivia breakfast, and are going to be doing another one. Dirty Dancing is coming up, and I think that that's actually a joint venture as well. So what happens there? Well, in the Remarkist app, you can only have one host, and that's the host that receives it. Perhaps in the future, I'll have it so that you can do joint hosts, and then it's all automatic. But for now, just one host is there. So if you're working with a team, you got to decide who that host is going to be in the Remarkist app. In Clubhouse, you can obviously create the actual audio chat event. You can put however many hosts that you want on that. But for the purposes of Remarkist and for the kernels, our app only gets one host. All right, so that host is going to earn all of the kernels for everybody who has come to the event. So then you, of course, will then tip all of your partners, whatever their share should be, right? Like, half of what you earned. Of course, that brings us to this whole thing that we need to know what we earned. Right now, there's not really a lot of information. There's not a lot of information about who tipped you. There's not a lot of information about who you already tipped. Like I tipped some people, and then I'm like, wait, did I tip that person? I can't remember. So I actually need to even see that kind of information. That's all coming. Once that comes, you'll be able to see like, how much you earn from an event you hosted. You'll be able to see like, oh, I have a new tip from somebody. Let's see who that is. And, and you'll be able to look at that. And, all of that information will, I think, help create a little bit more of the community, like, giving and taking.
One thing I kind of connected this morning when you were talking about it is the host does not get to attend their own event. So the host loses the streak.
The host does lose the streak, correct? Yeah. The hope is though that folks.
Sasha, you need to listen. You got to go read the Discord. He put a ton of detail in the Discord.
Yeah.
I don't read Discord.
Yeah. The hope. This is episode 13, right? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. The hope is that eventually we get to a point where lots of folks are creating events and that there are multiple per day. But in the interim, that's a good point. Maybe I'll take a look at that and see about creating something that, if a host creates an event, that it keeps their streak going. My only concern there is that like then that might be, although it might not be a bad thing, that might be a way that a host can like sort of keep their streak is by just quickly scheduling an event, that is just sort of an event that's just designed to just hold their streak. I guess it might not be a bad thing at this stage of the project. My hope is that there would be eventually multiple events in a day. But you're right. At this point, we're probably going to be looking at like one event per day, and that would make it hard for somebody who's trying to hold their streak to want to host an event if they thought that theirs would be the only one that day. No, but these are all the things that we're figuring out, that we're like, like this is all good information. I have never done this before. Disclaimer, I've never created an in-game economy. There are people that are hired at games companies that do this. That's like their only job, is to figure out like all of this, like the nuance of the in-game economy. I watched a few YouTube videos.
And we bow down to your YouTube University.
YouTube University. So, but I mean, like, who knows? Like, it could, the whole thing could implode. Like, we could have hyperinflation. I have no idea. We're just playing around and figuring it out. The good news is that like we're so young, the project's so young that we can make mistakes and things can mess up. And like I said, I just was in the ledger and accidentally like deleted a few records from some people, and then I added them back, and I think everything should be fine there. And like today we had that like weird thing where suddenly it was like 1970. Which somebody said funny in the Facebook group, somebody said that I was like really committing to the retro thing by switching the calendar to 1970. So,
hey John, not to interrupt, it's like 8:03.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
We've had a bunch of people down here flashing mics, like me and Bob and T, for like the last 10 minutes.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry. It's because I was actually in the Remarcus app getting the 42 seconds going. What's up?
Okay, so I just had a question real quick that I actually had put in the Discord, but really the question was really, what's the best way, or is there a way to add functionality as far as like navigating to other users' profiles in order to tip people? I found the discovery mechanism of that really like I don't know how to like find other people.
Discovery. Yeah, discovery is non-existent.
In the chat, like I can't click on anybody.
Yeah, discovery is non-existent right now. It's just one of the many things on my list that I need to get going. With chat, I think it's going to always, to a degree, be really, or not always, but like at least this iteration of the app. I mean, there's a future version of this app that is like, largely rebuilt, that will address a lot of major bigger concerns, but just like the simple need for a feed, some sort of discovery mechanism, even just a directory that you can search for users, all of that is coming, and it's coming, I'd say it's coming relatively soon. What I will say though is that you can see who attended an event. You can see now currently better than that, not better than that, but like clearer than that would be, you can see everyone now who harvested kernels from an event. So if you go into a past event, after that people have claimed their kernels, you'll see now attendees, a little thing that says attendees. And if you go into that, you can see everybody there who attended. That is one helpful way for you to tip somebody who said something really awesome in that particular room. It does require the event to be over for you to be able to see those people, because it adds them once it's over. In the future, like I said, I really want to have our own Clubhouse style app on, inside Remarcus, so that we're not on Clubhouse, but we're always on the Remarcus app. And when that happens, I'll be able to track things much closer. Like I'll be able to know when people entered the room. I'll know who entered. I'll know if they spoke, if they didn't, if they came onto the couch, and then I can add that discovery stuff in, per event a little bit easier. But a directory is coming, a feed is coming that that will allow people. I just didn't put that in because we just weren't there yet. Like there was not really a whole lot of need for discovery, but now there is. So because there is, I'm going to be putting it in pretty quickly.
Speaking of attendees.
Yeah.
Are you saying it to me or Lily?
Either one.
Okay. So attendees, I was checking on, I know I dipped out early on
Mhm.
Fridays, the tech couples, and so it shows like 32 attendees, and so I was scrolling through and I didn't see 9. I mean, even though I dipped out, I was really...
I know, but you didn't collect your kernels. So that, like I just said, attendees doesn't necessarily mean people who were there on Clubhouse. It means people who actually claim their kernels. So like the kernel claiming is kind of like a sort of validates that you were there. Now, obviously, some people are collecting kernels who weren't there, you know, which I think is totally okay at this point. But if they collected kernels, if they were there and they collected kernels, that's the way that that's the way that you find them. And that means that if you were there, all the more reason to collect your kernels, because then it adds you to discovery for that particular event.
Very true. That makes sense.
So, John, I have a question. Sherry she messaged me and was asking if people are gonna be able to see who has like streaks and stuff.
Yeah.
On the app. Okay.
If people are gonna what?
Be able to see each other's streaks, like you said.
Yes, like you're gonna be able to see your own streak. Yes, soon, very soon. And by the way, if there are things that you want, the best way to make sure that I'm keeping track of it is add it as a requested feature. I've just realized that that's actually really helpful. For the other day, Nikki actually had a really great suggestion about allowing us to see events that we've RSVP'd to right from the calendar without having to go into the event, like some sort of color coding or some sort of little symbol that lets you know that. That's a great suggestion. I hadn't thought about it. And she just mentioned it in the room and I didn't write it down. But then I think she or somebody else who heard her in the room added it as a requested feature. Fantastic. Now I can see it there and it's on my list. You know what I'm saying? And that also will allow others to vote on it. Then I can also see how pressing is it? Like, how much do you want it? Because if something else is like way more pressing than that, I'm gonna develop the thing that's a little bit more pressing, like something that the community is a little bit more eager to have. There's also like only so much that I can do. So you may wonder why I'm not getting to something, like for example, chat's very limited. There's a reason for that. There's only so much I can do right now with chat. I am trying to figure out some solutions for a better chat experience than what we currently have. I may be able to get that in there, but if it's a little bit slow, it's just because, that's a little bit more complicated. That's going to rely on a third-party product that I'm trying to like figure out. I'm going to contact them because it's a little expensive. So I'm going to see if maybe they'll like cut me a deal or like give me like a nice long free trial enough to like for us to see it, so there's a lot of like different little wheels that are turning, but I'm telling you, like the requested feature thing, super helpful for me in terms, because I've had folks like email, like send me DMs and whatnot. And like the requested feature, it's just like, it's right there for me. I can see it like when I'm working.
Nikki did request that, John, because she realized that I told you verbally that maybe she should just add it to the app request.
Yeah, it was perfect. It's great. Now I can see it and like, it's just like on my radar to go. And then, when other people vote on it, it like, it puts a fire under me to get it done. All right, cool. Let's jump in. We are 10 minutes behind, but hey, that's marathon weekend for you.
John, just to let you know.
Yes.
First of all, T is blinking, but while T's talking, I just want to let you know that I can move back down to audience if someone who hasn't been up on the couch for a while would like to join. Because I've had a lot of chances, and I don't really have much to say about this episode. So
the problem is that we can't really ask anybody on the beanbags. If there's somebody that specifically wants to come on up, I could do that.
Sherry said that her hand raising didn't work when she came in.
Oh, okay.
So
why don't I bring Sherry? Why don't I swap you out, Carl, for Sherry, and then we'll see you out.
Tanya's also got the little new person bugle celebration.
Let's get Tanya up. Because where's Tanya? Oh yeah, there she is. This has been really fun. She's just dived right into the community. Tanya, why don't you hop on up here with us on the couch?
All right, I'll see you in a bit.
All right.
You want on? I can bob down.
We're good. Let's dive in because we're a little behind. Hey everybody. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, welcome. This is Remarcus. We're a community of folks who like to watch our favorite television shows together, virtually, but as if we are in the same room, gathered around the same television, passing pizza boxes and Chinese takeout. The first show that we are watching together is Gilmore Girls. It's a show that I was an actor on, but I never actually watched. And so that's what I'm doing now. I'm watching it with fans. We are now over halfway through the series, and it's really a blast. Those who arrive early can grab a seat on what we call the couch. That's what we were just talking about right here. That's the area up top. With 15 of us have little microphones next to our avatars. That means that we can chat during the episode as if we were, creating a sort of social DVD style commentary track. There are no real rules to how much or how little we can chat. We can chat whenever we feel the urge, same as if we were casually watching together in person. However, we do hit our sweet spot when we keep our remarks to what's happening in the episode. We try our best to squeeze those remarks into the air between dialogues that we can still follow what's going on in the episode. And when we have longer thoughts or we want to have a conversation, we really resist and we save that for after the show, because we're going to stick around for 45 minutes afterwards to chat about what we saw. We also always avoid talking about future episodes so that we don't spoil anybody who hasn't seen it yet. We keep the volume on our TVs as low as we can and still be able to hear it, so that when we do speak, others can't hear our episode in the background. I use headphones with my television, so you can't hear my episode at all. And when we aren't speaking, we keep our mics muted to reduce background noise. All of these sessions are being recorded and archived on the Remarcus app. If you don't feel comfortable being recorded or having your recorded remarks available to the public, then just don't come up onto the couch or don't speak. We sometimes do have snags. So if you lose your internet or you get knocked out of the room, just come back in. You'll be up on the couch if you were before. If your episode cuts off and you need to figure out where we are in the episode, there's an easy way to do that. You can get the Remarcus app. We were just talking about that. The Remarcus app is at remarcus.com. Just go there on mobile Safari. It'll explain everything that you need to do to get it onto your phone. Sign up for an account. You're going to need an account for this. You can also have the Remarcus out without an account, but for this particular thing and for all of that game economy stuff that we were talking about before, you will need an account. Once you have one, go into the event calendar, then into the page for this particular event, and you will see a time code for where we are in the episode. If you don't have the app and you really don't want the app, you can also find the time code at my Instagram account. I have an Instagram live feed playing with that time code. You can find my Instagram account by tapping my avatar in this room, opening up my full profile, and you'll see a link to my Instagram there. We always skip ahead past the previously on, so we start at the beginning of the actual episode. There is a previously on both the DVDs as well as on Netflix. Skip ahead. You need to be at 42 seconds in. You are 42 seconds in, you're ready to go. Have it pause there at 42 seconds. What's up?
You get the timer going to 42?
I do. I have both my Instagram timer and my Remarcus timer at 42 seconds. I did that while we were talking. Multitasking, people, multitasking. All right. I'm ready. This is a very, very oddly titled episode.
Years later, I still don't understand why.
And we will discuss it after.
We will discuss why that episode. All right,
yes.
I am recording, so officially recording. I almost missed that.
Yay!
There is some crackling in the background. That is Babsy frying something. But I will have my mic muted here in a second. All right.
Tell
everybody
her we want to share. We want to know what it is.
Yeah, what is it? Tofu. Firm tofu.
Okay, you guys can keep that.
Oh, you're not a tofu person?
That was so great. Nope.
All right. Everybody who's been here before, you know the drill. If you're joining us for the first time, grab your remote, put your thumb on the play button, but do not hit it, because we're going to all hit it at the same time on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh wow, is this still like this whole like Lorelai's got money issues thing?
I just want to say to everybody that I'm eating popcorn.
Yum.
Who's that on the couch? That's Digger, right? That's got to be Digger.
Why
Yeah, I
would
was
he
just
be on the
wondering
couch?
who was asleep there.
He's in the doghouse?
Lame. Oh no.
The 50-50 shot, it could have been Kirk.
Really
I was
could have.
thinking that too.
It always
Anyone
could
else
be Kirk.
just read the back of Lorelai's hat for the first time?
Her hair looks so long.
Who, Lorelai or Rory or both?
Lorelai.
I said both, honestly.
How is it possible that it's that cold?
The window.
There's a broken window.
Well, I mean, I know that, but I mean, I don't know.
If you live
Old
in the
houses
northeast,
are hard to heat.
Man, if you're in the north and your window's broken, it's gonna get cold in that house.
Yeah. Even
It's
if the
just
window's
hard,
not
it's just hard to heat anyway. She might not have the best furnace.
Total opposite of today. It's like 92 over here.
That was funny. That was also a funny delivery too. Getting old.
you missed a good Sylvia Plath joke.
So cold.
Yeah. Shauna, have you not ever lived
Call my name and I'll be there. The next train.
Oh dear
This
God.
is a fun new thing.
Everywhere that you tell me.
And I turned the volume down.
You need me to be with you. I will follow.
Thank you. That helped me psych up my
Donna,
sound. Specifically viewers.
try to sing differently.
I will follow.
And you tell me if you need me to be with you. I will follow.
Where you leave.
I think Johnny might
And
have
where
put
you
things
take
now.
Thank you, Cleveland. And now
Oh,
it's
Michael
his turn.
DeLuise. Michael DeLuise.
There's a lot of traffic in Stars Hollow today.
Did I just see Michael DeLuise?
Probably.
Yeah.
You might have.
Troubadour's in this episode, just so you know.
Grab Phillips.
Yeah. You can ask me a question.
And in case you didn't figure it out, Jess is here too.
It's hilarious in this episode.
This is the reference you brought up, I think, John? Or maybe, I think it was Mike once saying that there was something between him and what's the other guy's name? Joe with Roger.
Roger.
I think that's Jason also, the stand-in that we mentioned before. Yeah, that's Jason, the guy on the right. That's the actor who we were talking about in the last episode that came into Mrs. Kim's, the stand-in whose wife worked with Valerie.
This is so hilarious.
I love her pose. I just love it.
It's like Carvel out here. Carvel, I don't think they have Carvels out on the West Coast. I haven't heard of Carvel since I lived in Florida.
Love Carvel. Best ice cream cake.
It's so hot, and looking at his coat is making me like feel so uncomfortable. He's so cute.
But he's definitely not interested in bumping into Rory. Like you can feel it. He wants out of there. He wants out of there.
See his face?
No, yeah, I could see that he was like shaken, but that doesn't mean that he wants to. He wants out.
Why
is he just hanging a blanket on it?
The awkwardness. I think he would love to run into her, but he doesn't want the confrontation that would come with it.
We'll talk about it afterwards, but I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think he's dying to get out of there.
So they need to hang a heavy blanket in front of that window and not band-aid it with some saran wrap.
With like Scotch tape. I mean, that's ridiculous.
They're Band-Aids.
Oh, those are Band-Aids.
It's Band-Aid.
Barbie Band-Aids.
Yeah, if she's so tight on money, I don't understand why she's wasting Band-Aids of all things. Like, I know
Band-Aids are very
expensive thing. Or she doesn't have Scotch tape. It's the only thing she's got. I fear Lorelai's critical thinking skills go from time to time, unfortunately.
She should have got the 3M film that they used to winterize windows in Hanoi.
We always had that on our old house, our old windows growing up.
I love Emily so much in this scene. Oh my God.
I don't know who Lorena. I always think of the Bobbitt lady when I hear this. I don't know why. I don't know who this woman is, but.
Isn't it Lorena Bobbitt?
Yeah, Lorena Bobbitt. The Loretto Bobbitt.
But
was
yeah, I
pretty
feel
close.
like they know that. The writers have to know that.
It's crazy, Carrie.
I love Liz's voice. It's like
I love Carrie. She's so funny.
Voice is like butter.
Oh, if we don't go to a Renaissance fair, I'm going to be very disappointed.
Oh, Patty.
Yeah, so Kirk is in there.
I love the whole Liz and Luke brother sister dynamic. So funny.
Boinks. Yeah, that definitely sounds like, looks like somebody who is eager to see her.
Why didn't she go to Luke's for her coffee?
She was
Probably
avoiding him.
because she was avoiding Jess, and he went there to avoid her.
He probably went there to avoid his uncle too.
Oh, that's awkward.
Uh-oh.
Oh my goodness, Liz.
Ooh.
I mean, she's not wrong.
Even more
Yeah.
reason to love Liz.
Exactly. There's nothing to hate about her.
I want to definitely talk about that. Not his type. No, not his type. Ooh.
And there we go.
We are so talking about this.
Oh man, I missed her.
I missed her house.
That's it.
I like Lorelai's shoes.
Wait, is that apricot all grown up?
Just like a kitten.
The little bastard.
Oh, I always crave beans.
I can't get enough of Babette.
With Rory saying the last one, like he'll be gone soon, you can tell that there's something more to that.
You mean narratively, or you mean just like her feelings?
Feelings, body language.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, of course. I would also say narratively, it feels like that the writers are telling us that he's going to be sticking around for longer. Yeah, I mean, of course, I know that both of them have feelings for each other, but that doesn't mean that he wants to stay. That just means that he has feelings, and he probably does not feel comfortable at those feelings. And he wants to get out.
That's the first.
Oh my God,
time
TJ,
we hear
look, TJ.
The name, TJ.
John, what were you saying? I think you got interrupted.
Oh, I'll talk about it afterwards, but oh, there we go. Michael DeLuise. Hello.
What a legend.
Yeah.
I never watched Friends, and I thought he was the guy from Friends until I Googled it.
He's on Stargate.
His brother is was the father on Wizards of Waverly Place.
And his father was
So, you know what's hilarious is that TJ, I was like Thomas Jefferson before he even said it. That's the only thing I could think of.
The president.
Then he doesn't tell him though. Notice Jeff isn't one of her two favorite guys.
Your two favorite ones and your son.
Right. She probably thinks of him as her kid, though, not her man. So she's.
You
like
know,
her
they
super
actually do
nice.
kind of look alike.
I'm so confused. If she's like making chili, why did she take steak?
Because, I don't know, it's like a man thing or something. To have steak? I don't I have no idea. Battery's grinding his own meat.
Same here. I'll shut up.
That was a nice scene between him and his mom.
She doesn't strike me as a neglectful mom, though.
As a what?
Neglectful. She does not strike me as a neglectful mom. She may be a little, you know.
I don't know. I don't know if I agree there. She strikes me as a flaky mom.
We don't know enough yet, so.
What's the problem with this guy? He seems fine.
It's her track record. They don't trust her.
Yeah, they're worried and they don't trust her. Bad guys.
Just wait.
Luke mentioned a guy stealing a TV and her crying over it, so, you know.
Projecting much stress?
He's got a point though.
No, he's speaking his own feelings.
We'll still talk about this later.
Aw, Luke was sad.
That was harsh.
Yeah, we can hurt you so much.
Pickle in the middle, pickle in the middle.
It's Andrew.
Oh, I always.
Oh yeah.
Andrew.
Is Mike in the audience?
Someone
No, he's
ping him.
Somebody ping Mike. How an actor plays drunk is one of the things that I find most fascinating because every actor does it a little differently. And I really like his.
I was thinking the exact same thing because I like how he does it, and I was like, you think he was drunk actually, or maybe he just? I mean, I don't know. It's really cool.
John, you've gone to theater school. Is it something hard to do to act drunk?
Yes, it is very hard.
I feel like there's a fine line between this dude looks absolutely ridiculous and he looks like he's just not drunk at all.
Yeah, you nailed it. That's exactly what it is. It's just an extremely fine line between looking ridiculous and looking realistically drunk.
And like some actors really just get drunk and then shoot the scene.
But yeah, not often, but yeah, I guess there are some.
I have to look up the name of the guy. I can't remember who it was.
The easiest emotion to play as an actor is anger. It's the one every actor can do, like naturally. It's just funny. All of the other ones are really difficult to a degree, at varying degrees.
And that happens in life also.
For me, it's sadness.
Yeah, but it's easier to like convert whatever is happening to you into anger before taking it to any other emotion like sadness or crying or laughing or whatever.
Yeah, for sure. That's the reason why it's so much easier for actors to fight in a scene and get angry.
That's why actors are so great.
It was Martin Sheen that I was remembering who actually got drunk for a role.
That's a lot of blood on his shirt for a tiny little Barbie band-aid.
Even just that, what he's doing right there is just so subtle. It's just such subtle acting drunk. I love it.
I don't know. I remember thinking this every time. I don't know why Lorelai goes and shouts to the guy. It's like,
So not her place.
yeah.
Oh, Lorelai, you're so
I'm
Just
totally
go
on
with
Lorelai's
me.
side on that.
What do you say?
I'm totally on Lorelai's side. You don't hurt someone I love and expect me to just sit back.
Totally. And and that scene between him and Luke was nasty.
Yeah, that is true. I feel both ways. I'm like, Lorelai, come on. But then I'm also like, okay, I understand. And then I'm like, well, this is like situation where everyone's energy is just bumping into each other until resolving the conflict.
Yeah, I think she's wanting to protect Luke and Rory in that instance.
She should have invited Michelle. He would have fit in real good there.
That's a good idea.
Ooh, someone she has great banter with.
Regina.
It's true.
Maybe she should date him.
Oh, that's funny. Is this where we get the title of the episode?
I'm sorry, is Rory enjoying this?
There's the joke.
That's ridiculous.
I don't get it still.
I mean, the joke is that we don't get it. That's the joke. The joke is that it's just a really, really, really lame joke that only people in this society would understand.
Well, then I've gotten it for the last, I don't know how many years.
Yeah, I mean, we don't really know the full joke because, like, we don't have the context. But the title of the episode just gives us a little bit of context of what he's specifically talking about. It's not like the title is the punchline to the joke. It just tells you what that thing is that he's talking about. The joke itself, we don't know the answer. It's sort of a MacGuffin, as we would say. It's like the town loner and his thing.
Ew. Oh, watch this.
Wouldn't Lorelai have known who her father was working with for a lot of years?
No,
Not necessarily.
She left when she was 16, so.
I suppose, but they have all these Christmas dinners and whatnot.
she sat in the corner and talked to nobody.
Whoa.
Perfect opportunity to turn to
Little
her.
does
and
she
go,
know.
This is my favorite,
Actually,
Mom. But missed opportunity.
This is my favorite Grantley Phillips song.
So pretty.
I love this artist. I didn't know him until this show, and I like his music.
He was doing live concerts on stage. I'm trying to see if he has something going on during our hiatus week. That'd be kind of neat.
Where's Happy Alien?
It sounds so beautiful. I love this. You look like the Three Witches of Eastwood.
Oh, it's my friend Julie Dolan. I directed her in a movie. In the middle.
I love how he's scared of her. It's so funny. Oh, TJ.
What an interesting combination.
Why does Journey freak him out?
Oh,
Freaks me out.
They're so damn cute together.
How would they do that huge fire on a production set?
yeah. Well, it actually looks like a production bonfire because it's like very well guarded. I feel that's what I thought.
Yeah, that looks very well manicured. That bonfire. I mean, that's real fire. You know, there are special effects guys that you know, that's what they do. Yeah. that was that scene gave us a lot. Gave us a lot about, I feel like gave us a lot about Luke, his feelings for Lorelai, all through another character, which was really, really cool. And then that, like, you know, sort of comes full, like, it sort of is fully developed there at the very end when she gives the earrings. They were earrings?
Yeah,
They were earrings. The earrings to him, and then to give him a Lorelai instead of the wife. You know, I mean, that is like, that's big, right? Why would you ever say anybody other than the wife?
Did you see the way that Luke reached for her when he was sitting on the couch and she was walking away, but he didn't quite grab her? Like, he walked away.
I'm
Yeah,
so glad I'm
yeah.
not the only one who didn't notice. I bet noticed it.
It's so cute.
I didn't really notice it. I think I was just focused on, like, his just mannerisms were really realistic drunk, especially at the end where he, like, just, like, sunk into the couch and then put his hand on his arm on his head, you know, like, you could just feel that, like, sleepy drunk thing, you know, which was really, really cool.
That's the best kind of drunk, though.
It's slightly reminiscent of the Dean drunk with that grabbing the Lorelai thing.
Yeah. Again, I mean, it's one of the things that I really love to watch. I think every actor does drunk a little different. Everyone, and you know, and some of them don't quite nail it, you know, and just you can kind of tell that they are acting drunk. And then some just, like, absolutely nail it. And especially when it's because I feel like every drunk performance has its own DNA. It's just cool to see a successful drunk from an actor because it's a one of a kind. You've never seen, you know, it's that's theirs. I love that. I thought that was really cool. What about the speech between him and Jess? I mean, I know we didn't want to talk about Jess and Rory, but I think that we can talk about that speech between him and Jess. I thought that was Tasha, you take it so personally. We're just talking.
I'm not taking it personally. I just, like,
You're just like really ready for me to just, like, lay into Jess. Jess was totally wrong.
I'm not like, here's my thing. I'm not taking it personally. I just, like, I like going way back to, like, the first instance of Jess in his first few episodes. Like, I relate a lot to him, so I, like, relate in that sense, and so I have that emotional thing towards
but
him.
Wait, can't we agree here that was really harsh? Like,
it was harsh.
Can I give my
for a guy who like really was going out of his way to help him, you know, to, like, you know,
Like a punch in the gut. Punch in the gut.
Yep. Can I get
Tasha.
my 2 cents before then?
Yeah.
Everyone else. Okay. So a lot of, and I think someone mentioned this, I think it was because me and Kathy Ann were actually talking about this on Instagram, and that a lot of what Jess was saying, and this is coming from Kathy Ann's answer to it, a lot of what he was saying was kind of projecting his kind of, like, failure to, like, Rory and to, like, Luke and stuff like that to him. So it wasn't necessarily that, like, Luke is the one that, like, makes everyone try to, like, be better for him, and, like, when people fail him, he gets to feel like a martyr, blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, Jess does have a few points, because when people do let down Luke, they do feel kind of bummed out, and they do try to, like, be better. Like, when Luke and Lorelai had their little spat in season 3, Lorelai tried so hard to get him to, like, forgive her and stuff like that, and he kind of made her work for it and things like that. Yeah, like, him projecting was totally wrong, but at the same time, Jess did kind of have a few points, because Luke was like, what are we going to do about this guy, blah, 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 when he barely even knew TJ. And, like, I think all of us as viewers were like, we need to give this guy a chance. This is the first time we've seen Liz ever, and this is the first time we've seen Liz with a boyfriend. and all we've heard from Luke is every bad thing about a boyfriend that Liz has had. So I feel like we need to give him a chance, and Luke needs to give him a chance. And Jess was kind of fed up with that because it's like, Liz is not going to care what we think. It's her life. If she wants to do that, she can. So he had a point. His execution was horrible. I'm gonna not.
His execution was horrible, but you know what? I'm gonna give that to you. Like I hadn't thought about that whole thing with Lorelai and how, you know, how he really made Lorelai suffer there for a while. But on the flip side of that, a big part of it was because he was so upset with Lorelai about her disregard of Jess. That's sort of the interesting part about what you're saying, is that like it was his intense care that he had for this other person and her complete disregard for it that caused him to be so upset. And so it's hard to hear that same character that he put so much work into basically tell him that he's, you know, that he's a complete failure in that regard. And it's just, you know, that's the thing that I find really harsh. And I think that what we're talking here about is the execution ultimately. I don't take away any of how Jess feels about the situation. I think that Jess is totally, his emotions are totally valid. It's just, that was just harsh. It was just really hard to hear. And then of course it was really also like, you know, the fact that then it led into the next scene with Luke was just kind of a little heartbreaking.
You gotta admit the Etch a Sketch comment, so shake him real hard, maybe it'll disappear. You gotta admit that was hilarious.
Yeah, that was funny. I love this TJ character. And then the capper at the end where he's like, "You're a dick."
He's polarizing. Some people just don't like him, but I love him. I think he's hysterical.
Who doesn't like him? Mike flashing if you don't like TJ. Nobody in nope. There are no remarks.
Well, good.
He's great.
I know that.
He's a great character. He's one of my favorite characters.
I mean, I just thought that the way that he said that at the end was just, it told us so much about his character, about how grounded he is in a way. Like, you know, he kind of comes across as the tropey, like, lovable dummy, but he's not. Mary.
So I just want to talk about Justin Luke for a second. I think what bothers me, I completely agree, Tasha, that Jess is projecting. He's projecting how he thinks Luke made him feel, or like he's thinking, you know, he's remembering his own feelings. But what gets me about that speech is that he took the one thing we actually all love about Luke. We love that Luke gets fully involved in the lives of others and helps others and, you know, gives his all to everyone he adores. And he used that to beat him up with it, to make him feel bad, to make him feel, and that's where it's like you like that's destroying his own like ego. Like you're asking him to change everything about himself because you're hurting people by caring too much. And that's what really bothered me. Like he went really deep with that comment. Yep, 100% agree.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Mandy, Zachary, and Diana have been flashing for quite a while. Okay, so I actually, to the whole speech, I have a very kind of personal attachment to it. Like, I'm sure Jess's delivery was not the best, but as a foster parent, I often, like, I have very high expectations, but I have to reel it in because I don't want the kids that come through my home to ever feel like they're disappointing me, because I know like how badly that can make them feel, because basically I think that in that moment Jess felt like he didn't play the part the way Luke expected him to, and he felt he owes something to Luke because Luke helped him out. He knew that he didn't perform well enough or live up to that expectation. And I think that that speech was more about his disappointment because he didn't do things correctly. He was upset at the way he handled things, but even more so upset because Luke was hurt by the way he handled things. I don't think that he was necessarily trying to hurt Luke. I think that a large part of that speech was he was basically upset with himself. And because he knew that he had disappointed Luke and he knew that he had hurt Luke. But when, I don't know if y'all have ever like disappointed somebody and then felt really bad and wanted to beat yourself up, but instead of doing that, you just lash out at the other person. But I think that's what Jess was doing in that moment. And I feel for Luke, but I also, at the same time, I'm very careful not to make the kids feel like they owe me something for helping them out. And I think that or helping them out. And I think that's what Jess felt. I think he felt like he owed Luke something and he did not give Luke what he owed him. Like the
and you're saying that you think that because of that made Jess feel resentful, like angry, like I failed you, but I'm putting the blame on you because because if I hadn't have met you, I wouldn't be in the position to have to not fail you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Almost, yeah.
That's
like,
deep. That's cool.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
gosh. Like,
Really quick. Anna Reynolds, I keep trying to bring you up here. It's not letting me. It's the case of Clubhouse stuck. The way that we unjoggle that is you leave the room, come right back in, and then you come back. It'll usually get you right onto the couch.
I think Zachary was next, maybe, and then Diana.
Yeah.
Oh, first off, everything's been well said. There have been some good points brought up by everybody. I don't want to rehash that. Just focusing on, and Mandy, like, just analyze the heck out of it. But I think it was easy for Luke to, Luke. I think it was easy for Jess to lash out at Luke because he's been that parent figure for so long. But if anything, I feel this episode and previous episode just kind of shows that, it just goes to show that he still has like a lot of growing up to do. He's doing some soul searching, hence his, his sojourn, and then, coming back and, trying to get out of Stars Hollow, trying to get his car fixed, trying to figure out what's going on. Is he running away from his problems? Is he trying to figure out where he's supposed to be? Maybe a little both. But yeah, I don't think he knows what love is. I don't think he knows what he wants. And I think that's like probably one of the things that he's dealing with right now. So.
Oh, you're talking about Jess.
Yeah, I said Luke, but then I tried to correct myself and I think I cut out.
Okay. So I think that's a good segue, if we don't mind, to talk about Jess and Rory. Because if you're saying you don't think that he knows what love is, then what's your interpretation of that last line?
Okay. So, I mean, let's just go with Rory said, because, I've actually thought about this moment a lot. What would Jess say to me if I never saw him again? I mean, he just took off, no note, no call, nothing. How could he explain that? And then a year goes by, no word, nothing. So he couldn't possibly have a good excuse for that, right? I imagined hundreds of different scenarios with 100 different great lasting parting lines. And I have to tell you that I'm actually very curious to see which way this is going to go. I mean, if he knew what love was, if he did love her, he would at least said goodbye when he left. I don't think he knows what love is. He had a father that left him. He ended up with Luke at a young age. Luke's tried to fill that role because Luke's just a great guy. Maybe he doesn't know what love is. Maybe he doesn't know himself. And I think maybe he had something that he thought was good, and maybe he thinks that he screwed up, and him saying that I love you to Rory is, hey, I messed up. But at this point, I really don't think he knows what love is. Oh,
Did we,
Stephen knows what
did
that
we
was,
prematurely jump? Did we prematurely jump, or is there anybody else that wants to talk really quickly before we go over to Jess and Rory? I just know it's big, and we've got another around 13 minutes or so before the end of the event, and I want to make sure that we really give that section some focus.
I think Miss Diana.
Did we talk much about Liz?
Diana, I know Carl wanted to say something. I see Stacy flashing. Does anybody want to speak about not Rory and Jess, but on what we were talking about right before? Because I know that I sort of segued us, sort of
Stacey.
preemptively. Stacy?
Yeah, one of the things I kind of observed about Luke is that it seems like he, sort of like what Tasha I think was saying, is he really kind of holds, I don't want to say grudges, but I feel like he really kind of holds on to how he thinks people have behaved in the past. So he's constantly been kind of lumping Liz in with like, she's always going to be this way. And I wonder if in that TJ comment, with Jess, if he sort of felt sensitive to that, like if he's going to continue to see my sister or, my mom as being part of this, is he always going to keep lumping me into the same category? And certainly he was projecting.
Yeah.
So we
Diana and Flash.
and Coral.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but could you say that again? I didn't get it. Or two people speaking.
Diana and Carl were the other two that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Diana, and then we'll go to Carl.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that, the speech between Luke and Jess, I mean, we can sort of argue both sides, but bringing that speech to, and corresponding it to the TJ and Luke speech, something about the way Luke is portrayed in these, by those other characters, gave me Lorelai and Christopher vibes when she's like, I just wanted to thank you, and he's like, how dare you? Because Luke, while he's amazing and he's a great caretaker and all those things, he definitely puts there's a lot of expectation that he has for other people, and I think Jeff was keying into that. And on the flip side, to segue back, Jess goes and says, I love you, with all of these expectations. Like, what was his expectation of Rory in that moment? He doesn't actually think that one through. Like, he just says it and walks away, not actually understanding that, like, his expectations of the moment now put that on the other person. And I just kind of feel like there's all these themes of, these characters that we really love and really try to understand are always sort of coming up with these sort of unrealistic expectations for the person that they're speaking to or the person that they really care about. And I just thought that was an interesting through line that I was seeing in this episode.
I love that. Yeah, especially that idea of sort of the expectation, like, what did Jess expect from saying that? I hadn't thought about it. Carl.
Okay, first I just want to say sorry for the background noise. I'm in a car on my way to an event, so apologies for that. But I just want to say, Mandy, thank you so much for bringing up that point, because rewatching this episode again after working in the foster care system for like 3.5 years, I finally don't just look at Jess and be like, oh, you're a complete and utter asshole. I don't like you. In this scene, I still don't like the dude, but in this scene, I'm like, okay, you're hurt. You haven't had like good, fatherly figures in your life. Your dad was gone. Liz went through a bunch of men, as Luke said in the episode. It's like, okay, I get it, I understand. Like, you had a kid, and then, having high expectations for them, but not having it be like, okay, you're gonna do this to me, do this for me, and you're gonna give me an award if you do this. It's just kind of like, caring about them, and then because you don't know if you're the first person to be that caring figure or like that strong parental figure in their life. So then you doing that with them, it's like, what the heck are you doing? And I feel like that was such a good point that you brought up, because with just lashing out at Luke like that is definitely, okay, a place of hurt because he's upset that he hurt him. But at the same time, he didn't expect someone to care for him like that. So thank you so much for bringing that up. That's what I want to say about that point. And also, this rewatching the scene made me realize that I am very, very much like Luke in a parental way than I saw it.
It looks like Shauna wanted to say something, and on the just factor, Kathy Ann wanted to say something too.
All right, Shauna.
Okay, so you guys weren't in here earlier when I was talking about Amy actually like using I mean, every show does it, but it's so apparent in this show about how complicated a human being is. And I had talked earlier when, after the last time about how, Amy just like puts that, Amy and the writer put that, human spin on these people, and you can definitely see, how it all kind of projects into, our lives, because we've lived lives similar to that. It's not a fantasy world or anything. It's a life, and when it comes to like Luke, I mean, he's like, he's a caretaker. I mean, you could tell that from day one. He was a caretaker. And Jess, he wasn't always, he's not a screw up. He just had a bad upbringing, or not even a bad upbringing, but just not a lot of people said, hey, this is the way you're supposed to do it. So he didn't learn. And that's the same thing with like Lorelai. She got cold reception. She probably didn't get a lot of hugs. I mean, but I just wanna, I'm just like so enamored by the fact that, I mean, the Amy and the writers and everything, they just bring out that absolute human everyday aspect of who of these characters. So okay, I'm done.
I found this episode to be very melancholy. I don't know if anybody else felt that way, but it like kind of peaked for me, like just the general sense of melancholy in the episode. It kind of peaked for me when Liz said to Luke, he reminds me of Dad. Because in that moment, I just like, I for some reason, like Luke's relationship to his own father, I started wondering about that, and the loss of his father, and how much he may see of Jess, of his father in Jess, and how that might also influence his desire to see Jess, or to take care of Jess and care about Jess. It reminds me a little bit of like how much he cared about Jess when Lorelai was completely shitting on him. And just the whole thing made me, I mean, even just talking about it now kind of makes me very sad.
There's a lot to think about in this episode with his background and his family, and I like these episodes when we learn a lot more about him and a couple of the other characters at times. Just kind of makes it more.
In general, I just love it when the writing gives you insight into like background family in these just very subtle ways. You know, they haven't talked too much about Luke's father, so I don't really know what he was like. I don't know what his personality. All I know is that he owned a hardware store that he had for a very, very long time. Now that I can compare him to Jeff, I'm starting to like a little bit of a picture of the man is starting to form, and I just think that that's just brilliant. I just absolutely love it. Let's really do a hard shift over to Rory and Jess. I'll just start off by saying, you know, I think that I agree with that with Zachary that I don't think he totally knows what he means when he says I love you. I think that there's a lot of but that doesn't mean he doesn't have extremely powerful feelings of loss, of what could have been, feelings of longing, all of that kind of stuff. But I just think that word's a big word for him to be using. I don't think he totally knows it. In the same way that I don't think that Rory really knew it when she said, I love you, you idiot, to Dean, right? Like, I think most folks would probably agree with that. And I also think the character of Jess can equally have intense feelings for Rory and still be like absolutely hopeful that he does not run into her in the short time that he's there in the town. That's it. That's all I wanted to say.
Kathy Ann's question.
Kathy Ann.
First, everybody needs to go harvest. Second,
Harvest them kernels.
I had an error message with it. I refreshed it and it worked. So just giving everybody a heads up.
Just by the way, that error message, I wrote that. I'm going to rewrite that because now everyone is thinking that it's an error. It's just a stall that I put on the system when things are a little overloaded. So I'm going to like rewrite it that says the system is struggling right now. Give it a second, reload, you'll be fine, or something like that.
So about Rory and Jess. So I feel like when he first left, he didn't say anything, and this is new to me. So I'm going to word it the best I can, because I was talking to Tasha and we were kind of going back and forth. And when he comes back, it angers me because it's a year, like it's been a year and you haven't done anything other than call and hang up. But then at the same time, like when he left, was he confused with his feelings and not sure how to feel? So he didn't know how to say goodbye. And then now he's had a year to process everything. And he comes back and he says that, and even like the look on Rory's face, she's like, what happened? And she now has to process it, and he's walking away again. I don't completely know how to word it, but like, I feel like maybe he does understand a little bit about love, and that's possibly what he was thinking about a lot. And with the unaired pilot, he was supposed to write her a letter in that unaired thing, and like I'm wondering if maybe if we would have went into that and all those phone calls, if he was trying to figure out how to tell her those things, but he just couldn't get the words, and now he's coming back a year later and he has nothing else to say other than I love you, and he doesn't know how to explain himself to her because he's never had somebody really explain it to him.
Can you elaborate on what you mean by the things that he wanted to say to her other than I love you? Was there something else? Like I'm missing that. What do you think he was wanted to say or trying to say but couldn't get out other than I love you when he was calling her all those times?
He was always so bad with his words, and like he was trying to call her and say, you know, like, I'm sorry I had to leave. I found my dad and I wanted to get to know him. And he didn't know how to express any of that because he's never really had that where he's got to explain to somebody where when he does something. Does that make sense?
To build Kathy's point as well, I think like the contents of that letter, from what I remember reading, I think in that letter he would have also explained like all of the events that happened to him, right? Like she mentioned that Jimmy came to Stars Hollow and he paid him a visit and now he's going there. But I think also he was going to explain as well, like he flunked out of high school. And so that's
that's the whole premise of the Keg Max episode, right? Where, you know, the controversial scene is at, right? Because we know the context, but Rory doesn't. So I think he probably would have discussed those things. And then, you know, in the graduation episode, she says, like, why didn't you tell me you like flunked out or anything like that, right? So I think the letter would have like covered all of that and probably like apologize, make amends, that sort of thing. Sorry, I know I usurped everyone's time because.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So what's the order? Does anybody know? I see Mary flashing, Mary, flashing, Tasha
Mary.
flashing. All right, let's go
Mary first.
Let's go Mary T Tasha. Is that cool?
I think Stacy was down there before Tasha started
Oh,
flashing.
okay. So then why don't we go Mary T, Stacy, Tasha?
I just wanted to draw attention to two things. One, when he called her at her graduation, she told him, I think I may have loved you. And so I think that probably stayed with him. And so when I think both Zach and John were saying, I don't think he knows what love is, I think he heard that and he may have felt the same way. I do think he has always had very strong feelings for Rory. And it's been a year. And it's been a year where we kind of get the sense from Luke that he isn't with his father anymore, that he's moved on with his father. So it's been a year of turmoil for him. And yet his feelings for Rory are still around. And I think that's when he realized what love is. So I actually do believe he is in love with Rory and he is aware of what love is. He's looked around, he's experienced a lot, and his feelings for Rory have not gone away. But he doesn't know what to give her. She's at school. He's still in turmoil. Like, he doesn't seem like he's, you know, settled anywhere. He doesn't seem to have a plan. At least he didn't share it. So what is he going to give her? So I agree, John, that he was trying to avoid her, but I think his feelings are genuine.
Oh, I think his feelings are very genuine. I just don't know if I would classify them as love. But I mean, no argument there. I totally see that there is like intense feeling of loss and regret and all kinds of stuff there. And I don't know. I mean, maybe that's a kind of love. I don't know. T.
Yeah, I mean, you know, just building off of what you were saying, and Mary, in our conversation earlier today too, when we were talking about like developmental stages and thinking to like, you know, you're not really cognitively, you know, formed and physically formed until you're at least 25 or so or above. And guys, you know, usually have like, sorry guys, but like a negative standard deviation of -3 years. Yeah, sorry guys.
All right, I'll take it.
I don't know that he's had enough life experience to know and understand what love truly is. Because I think that when someone truly loves you, they're going to move mountains for you. And him just saying it, blurting it out, and running away, that doesn't come across.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I say I think that I don't deny the feelings, strong feelings. I just define love a little differently, and I probably, yeah, it's that. It's the fact that, you know, he can't. I don't know, but you know, I mean, maybe if a person just can't, you know, like they're just, their body won't let them. Like, do we say that that person can't love? Like, that does love only qualify as love if you can get over your thing, whatever your hang up is, whatever your complex is, whatever that is. You can give that up. If you can get over that, then you qualify as having, you know, as really truly being in love. Those strong feelings can qualify as love. If you can't, they don't qualify as love yet. Is that what we're saying?
Is it love or is it lust? Because you can have strong feelings and have strong affections towards someone, but it doesn't necessarily equate to the same thing as love per se.
Yes, that's true. I'm just saying, can you also have true love, but you haven't fixed whatever is in yourself, and therefore you can't express it correctly, you can't perform correctly with this person? Or are we saying that no, love does not exist while the person is messed up and can't deal with the person correctly? Because taking because yeah, I know what you're talking about. That's true. There is a difference between lust and adoration and infatuation and actual love. But I also think that there's an argument to be made that people can't, that you can have love for somebody and also be so messed up that you just don't know how to behave correctly as we would associate love behavior to be if you're in love with somebody, I guess is what I'm saying.
Things of like loving yourself before you're able to love somebody else. Is that where you're going with that?
Maybe. I'm just saying, yeah, is that true? Like, do you have to love yourself before you can love somebody else? Like, that's actually a really good way of saying it. I don't know if the answer is that yes, you do. I think maybe you can love somebody else without loving yourself.
Well, you got Stacy, Tasha, then Mandy.
Stacy.
Yeah, so I apologize in advance. I'm going to come at this from a therapist standpoint, so I'm sorry. But I feel like everything that Jeff does is self-preservation for him, and I really disagree with the idea that he doesn't really know what love is. I mean, I think he does, but we also have to recognize all of his early experiences of attachment and like attachment theory. He never really got a chance to, I think, form a lot of those bonds. His dad left him. His mom kicked him out when he was too difficult to deal with. He felt like he had a safe place to stay with Luke. When he flunked out of school, Luke sent him home. Even Rory kind of left him when he was, after she kissed him at the wedding. And then she didn't write to him the whole summer. So I feel like he just sort of makes this idea that, every time he loves somebody or something like that, they end up leaving him. So while I disagree with obviously his actions, I think that he just ended up kind of running away to protect himself.
He had a
interesting.
destination in mind though when he ran away. Are you talking about the first time when he ran away from Stars Hollow? Because he had a purpose for running away at that point.
No, I was talking about when he left the second time because Luke told him, that's it, you're out. And so that's when we see him on the bus and he goes to his dad's. And then we, of course, don't really see what happened with his dad. But the assumption is because he's back that obviously things probably didn't go well.
Can I ask you a clarifying question about your theory?
Sure.
Are you saying that he is experiencing attachment theory?
Yeah, so I don't think he really got a secure attachment ever formed.
Because he didn't have that between a primary caregiver.
Yeah, because his dad ends up leaving. My guess is, his mom was probably going through some sort of trauma with his dad leaving, so she probably didn't really bond with him. And then the messages he got growing up were basically like, if you screw up, you're out. Like there was no kind of like unconditional love type of secure attachment ever formed for him.
So like,
wow. So he's just reaching out because Rory is easy to attach to.
I think he actually does love her, but I think he's incredibly scared. And so everything is self-preservation for him because he doesn't know what to do with that feeling. I think he feels it, but I don't think he knows what to do with it.
So like a survival thing. Okay, I apologize, guys. I was just trying to understand.
Yeah, no, that's cool. You're saying you think he loves her. Can you just, as best you can from a therapist perspective, just for me personally, could you help me define love in his particular context? Like, is it just like strong feelings of wanting to be with her? Like, that might be a big question to ask, but I'm just trying to understand how he could, at his age, really truly understand what love is and really be in love with her. I totally get the idea that you can be in love with somebody while also having this self-preservation thing that like causes you to behave poorly despite your love for the person. I'm questioning more his age, his inexperience, and the possibility that he's confusing just feelings of infatuation with love. driven, etc.?
So I think part of it is also, so with the attachment theory, it's basically kind of this idea that when we're young and like we're babies or we're small children, that the relationship we've built with the early relationships we have are obviously with our parents. And that is what helps us develop, you know, our own styles of attachment and our own kind of understanding of relationships and all of that. And if he didn't have that, he would form what we would consider like insecure attachment, which could be anything from like just avoidant type behaviors or, you know, almost like a, like I really, really miss you, but oh, now you're back and I don't know what to do with this because you keep leaving me, kind of thing. So I think he formed very insecure attachments. And I think that he really has no idea what to do when he starts to feel close to somebody, because my guess is every time he did start to feel close to somebody, they would leave.
Yeah, okay, I got that. Tasha, we're at Tasha, right?
Thank you.
Tasha.
Oh, hi. Okay.
It was Tasha and then Mandy.
Yes. So I'm
Tasha
gonna
and
take a
Mandy.
bit. I'm gonna take a
I
bit because
appreciate your, Stacey. Sorry, go ahead, Tasha. I just wanted to say that Stacey did a great.
I'm gonna take a bit.
Too. I don't know where that would fit in our conversation.
I'm gonna take
Tasha,
a bit.
go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a bit on my thought. So rewinding all the way back to what my original thought was gonna be on this before everyone else spoke. Going off of what Kathy Ann was saying, because we were going kind of back and forth on this, and I have actually thought that like I understand Jess way more rewatching the series than I even originally thought I did, just by being older and events happening in between watching it through the first time to all these years later. When he said, "I love you," and then just took a second and then just left, me and her were talking, and I said maybe he was worried and afraid of what she would say, because at graduation she said she may have loved him, but she needs to let it go. And he didn't want to, he was worried about what she was going to say, and so he left because he didn't know what she was going to say. And that could have been a myriad of things. She could have said, well, you could have said that while you were still here, or maybe she would have said it back too, and then that would have sent him into a tailspin because he just doesn't know what to do with his feelings. And I kind of disagree with a bit of what other people have been saying, where it's like you can be so young and totally understand what love is and totally understand when you say it, because there are people who have gotten married like super young and have been together for years on end. And so I think it's very possible at 19 or 18 to know exactly what love is. And I myself, I knew exactly what love was when I was younger, and totally meant it when I said it. But at the same time, with getting close to someone and then having someone leave, like some people have said before, Jess has known that his whole life. Like, he's tried to get close and then either they give up on him or they just leave. And so him finally being vulnerable enough to say I love you is a big deal to him, because you could tell by like his face right before he said it that this wasn't something that he was just blurting out, kind of like Rory said I love you, idiot, to Dean in season 1, because Rory was like basically just saying it so like they could stop fighting and get him back, basically. Jess took a second, took a deep breath, and said I love you. And the way that he said it has so much more weight and so much more emotion to it than what Rory said it to Dean all those a few seasons ago. And so I feel like he definitely knew what he was saying. And I think part of love is being vulnerable. And I think regardless of how much he didn't say, I feel like he completely meant it. And now it's all on Rory to kind of be like, okay, what just happened? I don't even know how to process these feelings. It's been a year. I've tried to push those feelings away. And going back into the episode with her saying like, he'll be gone soon, he'll be gone soon. When she said it the last time, I feel like she was saying it more to herself and more out of like fear and not necessarily for other people to hear, because she probably still has feelings for him and she doesn't know what to do about it. And then him being in town, she's like, well, crap, now I have to face these whatever feelings I have. And I feel like with Jess and Rory, it's always going to be the what if, and what if he never left? What if he would have stayed in school? What if he did quit Walmart? What would have happened between them? And we're going to see that with many different relationships in this series, but I feel like with Jess and Rory, there's always going to be that what if, and it's always going to be unfinished business. And I completely love Jess in this situation because he's being completely vulnerable, more so than what he has been in other relationships. So,
But he ran away.
well, yeah,
It's not really on Rory to figure out how she's going to react. He ran away. She doesn't need to react at this point.
But at the same time, yeah, he ran away. He ran away because he's worried of what she's going to say. And especially with what she said before, with I'm very curious on which way this is going to go. He only knows to run because he was told to leave by Luke. He was told to leave by his mother. So leaving is his only coping mechanism, and he's scared. He's flat out scared. And I completely agree with that, being scared at 19.
Yeah, so you agree that it's okay for him to say, I love you, and then run away?
I'm not saying it's okay. I'm just saying I get his point because he's being super vulnerable and he's scared. I'm not saying his actions are totally justified, but his emotions are completely justified because I've been in that situation where I say I love you and then weeks later it gets pulled out from underneath me. I completely get where he's coming from, but his executions are just not syncing up to his emotions.
But there has to be some point in his life where I'm from a broken family just doesn't cut it as an excuse anymore. He's at least 20 years old at this point.
19.
And he's got to, okay.
I'm just saying because they actually said that in the episode.
Okay, but you could only use that, it only goes so far. He has to take accountability for his own actions and saying, my dad left, or my mom sent me away. All I know is to run. That only goes so far.
I mean, yeah, you do have a point.
Still has a lot of learning to do still.
I mean, yeah, Sherry, you do have a point because I mean, I've mentioned this before where I relate to Jess in this matter because I come from, pardon my language, pretty shitty upbringing, and I not use that card because that's a stupid way of saying it, but I have kind of mentioned that in my relationships and why I am the way I am. And I did get to a point a little too late, but I was 23, 24 when I got to the point where it's like that can only go so far, and people understand that and sympathize with me, but that's not always going to be the case. And I need to find a point where I can take that, use that, and then not run with it, but make it to where it's not going to really define me. And I think Jess is at a point where he's still young enough to take that and fix it. And obviously we can't say too much more because we haven't seen at this point anything else with Jess. So I think we kind of have to like give him a chance to take what he's learned and take what's happened to him and kind of change it and make it work for him. And that's kind of what I've done. And now at 28, I know that I had a shitty upbringing, but I'm not going to let it define me and define my future relationships. So you got to give him a chance.
Okay, everyone agree that he is too young.
He's not too young. He's young enough that he can still fix it, but he's still old enough to know what love is, because it's the first time we've ever heard him say it.
We might have to pick this conversation up later, huh, John?
Yeah, I'm gonna actually have to jump. But I just wanted to say that this today was just awesome. It was just, the whole day was fantastic, and I just want to thank everyone who was here all morning and afternoon, and now this evening. And we've got another one tomorrow. We've got Shelly coming in the evening, which is going to be fun, and I expect that she'll be very talkative. My hope is in the post-show discussions because she's a very thoughtful person. This was great.
Mike flash for John, guys.
Yeah, and so I'm gonna take a look at the app later tonight, see how it went, see what little problems occurred, try and fix anything. And like I said, send me feature requests if you have ideas for ways to make this better. If I don't approve them, I'll probably approve them. There was one feature request that I didn't approve for a very long time, which was about tagging people in the chat. And the reason why I didn't add it is because it's just not possible for me to do right now with this iteration of the app. So I was like, I don't want to add something that I just simply can't get. But then I thought, I just added it because then I thought, it's good for me to know how much you all want it, because if it becomes something that I just see the whole community is like, they really, really want it, then it just becomes something that I'm thinking about. Okay, how do I do that? How would I do it despite the fact that I have like some barriers in front of me right now? So please do suggest things. It's very, very helpful. And like I said, I've got a list of things that I want to put in. So expect things like discovery to be there. Expect things like notifications in the app to let you know more information about the kernels that you're getting from others and all of that stuff. Expect that to be coming within the next few days. All right. I will see you tomorrow at 8 a.m. my time.
Thanks for all your time.
Bye, everyone.